Hey everybody, it's Safi and Marco, dish out on the movies. Today we are reviewing episode 6 of The Penguin, and it was titled or entitled Gold Summit. And right off the top, I'll just say I don't know what Marco was going to say, but I thought it was a really good episode. And I gave it an A, although I did have a few questions. And you did feel emotions of certain characters come through very well, so I would say it had good acting too. You know, either they're cold or they're sad or fear, whatever. And so I thought if I could feel those emotions coming through, then that would mean that the actors would be doing a good job. So, do you want to talk today, Marco?
I'll talk a little here and there. First off, I thought that, once again, the psychiatrist character is terrible. He is barely even a character at all. And I forgot, people pointed this out on Twitter, when he was on Luke Cage, which was where I think his first big thing, he had a similar storyline where there was this female mob boss. She took power. She killed her brother, the main villain, and then he got with her. And they hooked up, and she took advantage of him. So he's playing like the same character, which is really disappointing because I was hoping that maybe he would have a richer, more dynamic character than that. You know, like he is the worst character on the show. Would you agree, Safi?
He's like a dummy. Not a dummy he's stupid. Well, maybe he is stupid, but he doesn't even have a character. He's more like a...
We saw this on Blood Dolls. We watched a movie called Blood Dolls, and they literally had this exact same dynamic with this stupid character and this other girl character, and it's the same thing.
Well, he's like he's one-dimensional. That's the only person, like I just said, that I felt like emotions came through on these characters. I'll say most of the characters, because there's nothing. He's almost like a, what would you call it, a mannequin. I'm not kidding. And I think that's terrible, actually, for him, because I don't think that would be good for his career. But anyway, that's his problem. So, go ahead. And you want to say anything else right now? Well, I guess the only question I had at the beginning was, and maybe this series has this problem, has had it before for me anyway, that you don't know how much time has elapsed. That's what I have problems with, because they start off with, the Penguin, they're on the lookout for him, Sophia and Maroni, because remember, they kind of got together. I say it's a very loose connection, but because Maroni is grieving heavily for his wife and his son, and she's just in a revenge mode.
It's funny because they're both basically out for revenge.
Yeah,
she's just taking advantage of him, and he's just taking advantage of her.
Right.
Which is really weird because people on Twitter are acting like Sophia is this unsung hero.
No, I don't
Like she's
agree.
like a Robin Hood character.
No.
And that like her and him, their partnership is really comforting or something. And it's like these are horrible. These are two horrible, nasty people who are bullies and gangsters, violent criminal thugs. You should not be like, oh my God, they're such noble characters.
Yeah, because either one...
Because I can acknowledge the Penguin's a bad guy, but since this is his show, I'm rooting for him. He's the main character, and I want him to reach his full potential and go through an arc, because maybe he could be redeemed in the future. You know, he could go bad and then he could go good. He doesn't just have to always be bad, like Saul.
Nah. Well, I think the only person I'm rooting for is Victor. That's the driver / young man who is, I don't know what you would call it, unwittingly or whatever with the penguin. Because what else is he going to do? I don't know. He could have gone away, but then I don't know. There's no way I can explain all that because it's kind of not completely understandable. But anyway, that's the only guy I'm rooting for. So, but basically, this thing with the time, after they might be showing, oh no, wait, the first thing they showed was the penguin has his whole drug operation set up in that basement area. And it's not like a basement, it is a real functioning below subway, it used to anyway, be a below subway system. And I mean, and you know, the lights are spotty. They're having trouble getting that fixed, but that will be fixed later due to something Penguin did. But all their drug stuff, it's all done. I mean, it's the mushrooms are growing. Then they had something else. I don't know if it was related to mushrooms. It kind of looked like that meth stuff that they had in Breaking Bad, only it was red. And it was, they were breaking it up. It looked like red glass candy. And I don't know if that was the same thing. They're related or it's a different thing. They have two.
Oh my God.
Well, okay, Marco's saying, oh my God, so I guess they are. But I never saw that before, them doing that. And it looked like, I wonder if it was like glass candy, you know, that they made for the show. But it's all running smoothly. And they have hundreds of people down in this basement area all working like nobody knows. Nobody notices that.
Well, Safi, that's a...
Well, but anyway,
that's a stupid statement.
It's all going on.
It's a stupid observation.
And so the time, and I'm
they
like...
They had the same thing on Breaking Bad. Gus had the secret meth lab in the underground laundromat, and you didn't say anything about it.
Okay, well, anyway, it's just more time elapsed than I thought was... For some reason, I assume this is going to be like the next day or a couple of days, but I guess it was more than that. But anyway, so then you have that going. And then you have Sophia and Maroney, and they say, well, we can't find him anywhere. Where do you think he could be? And so, and they find out she did have Victor. And she has somebody they saw Victor and they tried to get him, you know, like follow him, but they lost him. And Victor knew it too. And he told Penguin. And so they said, well, let's see. And they said that the stuff was selling. And so they're trying to figure out what are they going to do? They want to get Penguin. Remember, they want revenge, both of them. And so they decide, well, we'll get the people who are selling. And they got 3 of the people, and they killed them, and they cut off one finger on one hand of each person to send a message. You want to say anything? So anyway, so now the Penguin really knows they are going after him.
Well, Sophia's hair looks terrible.
Oh, God.
She looks awful now. She looks like a rag. You know, she makes fun of this other character later in the episode for dressing up because she's a hooker, but, you know, Sophia looks awful now.
She looks like one, too.
She looks terrible. Like, I really don't like her anymore at all.
No. And I was just telling Marco, too, that I just think that she could be taken advantage of by anybody in 2 seconds. It's not that she can't defend herself, but I just don't know who is going to trust her. And it just seems like all these bad guys, it's the same thing, like there's no honor amongst thieves. And it really applies here a lot. And Marco just left the room for a brief moment, so I'll just keep it up. So Oz decides he's got to do something. And he wants to he wants. Well, who are all these people? They are all gang people, different gangs, gang members. They're working on this drug project, and so he decides, well, what I'm going to do. I think this is what he did. He's just going to let everybody try that stuff for free for one night. And then that would entice the triad and all the leaders of all these other gangs to come together, meet up with him, and he could make an alliance with all of them to sell or to be the distributors, just his distributors. And do that, and that's why it's called the Gold Summit. But that doesn't really happen until next to the end. So meanwhile, we still have Sophia, and they decide she and Maroney go to Oz's apartment, and where he was living with his mom, and they go through all this stuff, and it seems like Sophia. Remember, Marco said that the thing is that she did not really care about Oz when he was the driver, that she treated him like crap, or wasn't really that friendly with him and didn't respect him. And so she did not realize that his mother was still alive. She did know that he had two brothers, and she did know they were dead, but she didn't know about the mother. So I thought that was interesting, because it kind of confirmed the fact of what Marco said many episodes ago.
And that's what Oz said. He said that those people up there, their noses are so up that they won't look down.
Yeah. So,
and it just confirms her character's trash. She's an awful character. She's not a hero like Twitter makes her out to be.
I'm never going to use that anymore. Anyway, so Maroney, like I said, Maroney and Sophia go to the apartment. He sees the picture of the family, the brothers, and she said, well, they're dead, and the mother... And I don't know if she thought she was dead, but she's like, she's not there. The father's dead. And he says, oh, well, he doesn't even have a family, and I don't have one. And it's just like, he's just so upset about his wife and son. He just can't see straight, practically. So finally, they looked through his whole apartment, and she gave him, there was a set of golf clubs, which I thought that was really strange. And that Oz has a set of golf clubs. And about the last person I would think who would play golf. And she gave him one and said, go ahead and use this. And so like to go destroy stuff. So that's what he's doing. And she's still looking around, and she starts going through the drawers, and she finds a picture of that girlfriend, that woman that Oz likes. So she shows her picture around and offers bribes to people. She finally finds somebody, and then she goes and pays her a visit. And you think, well, that's somebody that Oz cares about, so she's going to kill her. And she did intend to kill her. She brought her gun. And the woman knew who she was, and she didn't act surprised, and she let her in her apartment, and she finds out that Oz betrayed her, and that the father, instead of her, Sophia, being the killer, the hangwoman or hangman, it was her father, and she told her that Oz had covered up for him, and he blamed her and got her this huge stay in Arkham for a decade. And so the woman didn't know that. The woman really thought that Sophia had been the killer, like everybody thought. And that's why she was put away. So anyway, she ended up telling Sophia where Oz was, that he was in Crown Point. So I thought that was interesting, and I'm like, why did she do that? And she didn't kill her either. Because she didn't know. And that she thought, well, Oz had just used her like he had used other people. So So why did she let her go? I don't know, because I don't know, but she let her go. That was it. So anyway, she gave up his location, which I was surprised, because she's been able to excuse his behavior all this time, and now all of a sudden she decides to give him up.
Yeah, she's like, oh, that one thing he did is just too bad.
Yeah.
Out of all the other bad things he's done. Oh, just that one thing is worse because the show demands that it be worse.
Well, I guess these girls who were killed, they were, quote, her girls or her friends. And so maybe that was what happened. You know, that was her reasoning for giving him up. I have no idea. So, let's see. So, I guess the last two things is he does get a meeting with the leader of the triad and all these other high-end, high-up gang members, leaders. And he brings beer. And I thought he brought the drug for them. And no. And he tells them that Sophia and Maroney and people like them have just used them to get what they want. And they should have control, and they should have the power. And he ends up convincing them, and then I guess when they're convinced, they don't really say anything. They snap open the beer. And so all the leaders snap open a beer, because he gives them all one. I guess he has somebody with him to give him a beer too, and he has one. It's like, if they all drink together this beer, that means they're all in agreement that they're going to be together and unify to have this drug business and distribute it, despite Sophia Maroney, in spite of them. And then, there was another thing too. Remember that basement area had a power problem. They even had one of their workers was trying to fix it and said, well, it's because of the city. They won't let us have the power. They won't divert power over here. So he threatens a councilman, like almost to cut his nose off with a knife. And he threatens him and says, if you don't get that power fixed to Crown Point, then I'm going to kill you, in a certain manner of speaking. And then the last thing that happens is the power comes on. And Victor told, and that bully guy in Crown Point that Victor was so worried about, he wanted to be part of the action, and Victor told him no, and he wouldn't listen to him. He even gave him some money as a bribe, and he wouldn't take it. So Victor shot him dead. And he was really sorry. He was crying. He was upset. And he goes back to where the mom is, and Penguin's there. And Penguin sees that something's wrong. And so he says, you just stay here with my mom. And then he leaves and does that summit. And then the power comes on. And the mother wakes up all of a sudden because her music's on, the lights are on, and everything is all right with the world. And Victor's there, and he's like, she wants to dance with him to this music, so he dances with her. Well, guess who's in the shadows? Sophia. And that's how they end it. I don't know if there's anything else, but the mother wanted Penguin to kill her because the music was off, the power was off, and she's realizing her condition has gotten real serious, and she doesn't want to be like a vegetable person in some home, and she wants him to, and she made him promise to kill her so she wouldn't have to live like that. And he doesn't want to do it, of course. And but when the music came on and the lights came on, she suddenly was out of her funk. And but anyway, who knows what's going to happen now. But I think that's about it. But the emotions, Penguin doesn't want to kill his mother. He's very upset. Sophia and her, I don't know what you want to call her vendetta, her rage. I don't know what she's hoping to accomplish and how she's going to fare from it. Maroney is just, it's blind rage for him and grieving. And so, I mean, he's so grieving so terribly, he can hardly see straight. So that's, Marco has some things to say. He can't really say it. So he says, my favorite part of the episode was Victor standing up to Squid. That's that bully guy. He's evolving into an even better character. Yeah, I would agree. What I also loved was how even though he went through that major character transition, he still wasn't safe at the end of the episode. That's right, because like I said, Sophia was waiting in the shadows in the apartment. Because remember, it was all dark before then, and Victor was asleep. And so was she, the mom. Usually a character gets to take a long break and pout after they've done something so significant, like killing somebody. For example, Jesse in Breaking Bad got to kill Gale and then be a crybaby for 5 episodes.
Remember that? He was having like 24-hour parties. Yeah. He was going go-karting and shit and just like pouting for like 6 episodes of the show.
I don't know. See, I don't know how many more episodes they have of this series.
2.
Oh, well, no wonder they didn't have that. Anyway, because I think Breaking Bad had a lot more in that season. So anyway, the first half of Breaking Bad, season 4, that's what he's talking about. The scene where Oswald's mom asks Penguin to kill her if she becomes a vegetable is possible foreshadowing. What if Sophia tortures her to the verge of death, gives her back to Oz, and then he has to put her out of her misery? I don't know. Despite this show being a one-off series, I hope it gets more seasons. I'd rather watch a Penguin series with him and Victor than watch the other stupid Batman movies that are coming soon. And they have a whole bunch of them. I don't know how anyone can sympathize with Sophia anymore. What she will do to Victor and or the mom is going to be just as bad or worse than what Oz did to Sal's wife. And he gave it an A+. I gave the episode an A because I just thought it was they did really good in furthering the story along. It is a story. You can tell it's a story. You don't really have
It's straightforward.
Very straightforward.
They're not confusing you. They're not saying, oh, it was all hallucination. They're not, it was the opposite of the Old Man Season 2 finale. Much better.
And you don't know, or you don't have to come up with the story. I mean, you're wondering what Sophia's going to do. Of course, you're wondering how. I mean, I wonder how it's all going to end. And since there's going to be the stipulation is this going to be a one-off series like Marco says, or are they going to do more seasons? Because I think how they end this will have to do with those two factors, either or. So it'll make a difference in how it ends. But that's so. In the characters, for the most part, not all of them, you can feel the emotion, which I said at the beginning, and it moved along. There was no dragging points. It said it was going to do something, and they do something, or you knew something was going to happen, and it did happen, and you just didn't know how it was going to develop. But I mean, I didn't expect that Victor would have to kill that guy, or that he would want to, but I guess he was left with no choice. Because the guy even threatened to say, I think I'll tell people what's going on here and where it's going on. I saw that woman and he knew about Oz, and I mean, so it was a good episode, and it's a good series, and still unbelievable how that guy, that Irish guy, is playing the Penguin. He has the accent, he has the look. I don't hear any Irish accent at all. He's got that completely down, but not just an American accent, a regional, the place, how people talk there. I mean, he's got it all down, and he's just a perfect character. I mean, it's just transformation is just unbelievable. So, anyway, if you like this video and you agree with us, or do you have any other remarks about it, any other thoughts about how you think it's going to end? Do you think Sophia, how's it going to end with her? But of course, I guess all of that will depend on how they will end the series. Are they going to end it for good, or are they going to continue it on into the next year? So we'll see. So goodbye, everybody.